he's going to enter into the program, and I get to, I can do some of his educational work from here that can help him get some of the credits he's looking for, and just support him as he goes through whatever he needs to go through. It's all changed since I went through, but I think it's an excellent choice. I really do. I think the first time I had coffee with him, I said, "Have you ever considered the ministry?" And at that point in time, he said, "Oh no, I don't know anything about ministry, but he's come a long way." We're talking about Jeff Towner. And you met Julie too, his lady. She's a jewel. Julie's a jewel. Yeah, yeah. Are you feeling a lighter load? Oh, that's good. The talk is for him this morning then. Okay, good. Thanks, Wendy. Can you sit over here? And sit over there. Zen. Let's begin.
When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. If I wake up with a bad attitude, I fill my heart with gratitude. I give thanks for everything with every little thought I think. can choose to be happy, choose to be free. Moment by moment, it's all up to me. 'Cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. When I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. What you thinking, what you thinking? What you thinking, what you thinking? What you thinking, what you thinking? What you're thinking. When I'm feeling down and blue, I found a trick that I'll share with you. I can choose a better way with every little thought I think. Well, I can choose to be happy, choose to be free. Moment by moment, it's all up to me. 'Cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think. What you thinking? 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 What you're thinking? Yeah.
What a fun and cheerful song.
It is.
I love that song. That is great. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, what a pleasure to be here today. My name is Stephanie. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all here who are in the sanctuary and those of you who are joining us online. We welcome you and affirm that we are all one in spirit. We have a wonderful speaker today. Reverend David McClure is with us. His message today is thinking your way to chronic health. And I'm very excited about that. He's actually teaching a class on this that started on the 25th of July, and we're very excited about that. And he has some other stuff that's coming up that's super exciting too, but I'm going to let him tell you that because that's his story. Anyway, special thanks out to our musicians. Nikki, Sandra, Chris, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And just lifting up our spirits is fantastic. And also to our media team, we've got Wayne and Michael and Wendy. Thank you so much. This does not happen without you, and we appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you so much. And now we're going to turn it back over to our musical team.
And I'm going to make everybody stand up.
Ooh, stand. Woo.
Well, if you want. You have a
you
choice. We're going to do this song, My Soul is Welcome Here. I know you've heard us do it. I don't know if we've ever done it as a sing-along, and maybe we don't have the words. Yes, do we? Yay! All right, Wayne. 2, 3, 4. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Instrumental break. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Yeah.
Are you getting the message loud and clear that your soul is welcome here? Absolutely. I want to invite you all right now to greet your neighbor. Just stand up, say hello for just a moment, fist bump. Don't go in for a hug unless they say it's okay. No, I'm out of order, and I don't care.
You're out of order.
Out of order. Boom, boom, boom. Don't care. Greet your neighbor. You're still going to greet your neighbor.
No, she's not. Yeah. Greetings, earthlings. Across the divide, they hug. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, speaking, I'm not here next Sunday. I'm going to go to in Big Sur. Oh boy, I'm so excited.
You're going to be where?
In Big Sur, California.
All right, you beautiful people, all you glorious spiritual souls, let's get you back into your seats so we can do the unity statement for peace, because I know you're dying to do that. You almost overthrew the whole sanctuary to do that. All right, I invite you to join me in the unity statement for peace because we need it right now more than ever. Together, unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths for God, the many ways to worship God. For there is one power and presence of God, and God loves each one of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations and their leaders to turn to God by whatever name for guidance during these challenging times and to pursue peace, not war, for that is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Thank you. And now our spiritual nugget today is, it is health that is real, wealth and not pieces of gold and silver. So hold on to your health, people. It's the most valuable thing you have. And now we will prepare for meditation.
Good morning. Today's meditation is a little different than meditations that I've done in the past. Thank you for turning me on. I'm turned on this morning. I want you to begin by noticing how you are seated in your chair. Just check that out. Notice your feet. Are they planted squarely on the floor? Or are they crossed? Or are they in some other position? They can be anywhere, any way you want them to be. This is not about supposed to's. This is simply about noticing some things about yourself. Turn your attention to your breathing. Notice your breath. Take a deep breath and hold it for a few seconds, and then let it out. One more time, do it again. Take in your breath, hold it, let it out. Notice how that felt for you. Notice your posture. Are you sitting up straight, or are you slouched in your seat? You don't have to change your posture, just notice it. Notice your arms and your hands. Are they folded, or are they softly in your lap? This meditation is not about rightness or wrongness. This meditation is about noticing. Notice the sounds you can hear. Are you hearing any specific sounds besides my own voice? Make note of the sounds you notice. And now I'm going to speak an affirmation that is familiar to most of us. There is only one presence and one power in and through me. There is only one presence and one power in and through me. As you hear those words, notice what thoughts come to your mind. Notice how they make you feel. Take note of any changes or sensations that come as a result of thinking, feeling, and speaking these words. There is only one presence and one power in and through me. There is a goal that maybe you have not expected from praying that prayer. That goal is mindfulness. Mindfulness is noticing things about yourself that you may not have noticed before. About the presence in this room, and about your relationship with one presence and one power. So let's take a moment in silence, simply noticing whatever it is we notice. And for this time of mindfulness, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen.
Climb every that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A dream that will need all the love you can give. For as long as your life and for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find that dream.
Thank you, Nikki. Mother Superior, eat your heart out. Good morning, Spokane. So good to be back with you. And so good to be back with you today because there's been some news trickling down Freya from here to the South Hill that you have chosen a spiritual leader for your ministry. A good friend of mine and Donna's, Jeff Townley. And I'm so thrilled and so excited for you. Jeff is a great guy. I remember our first time we had coffee together, and I said, have you ever considered becoming a unity minister? And he looked at me, he said, no, I never have. But it planted a seed, apparently, and he's got a road to travel to become a full-fledged minister, but he's starting out as your spiritual leader, and you get a bonus with him. You get Julie, and I hope you've met her. If you haven't, you will. So bravo and congratulations on making that move. One day, Jesus was relaxing in heaven, and he happened to notice a familiar man approaching, someone that he thought he knew. And so he thought, maybe this is my father Joseph. It kind of resembles him in a lot of ways. So he asked him, did you by any chance ever have a son? And the man said, yes, but he wasn't my biological son. He was born by a miracle, by the intervention of a magical being from heaven. Very interesting, said Jesus. Did this boy ever have to fight temptation? Oh, yes, many times, answered the old man, but he eventually won. Unfortunately, he heroically died at one point, but he came back to life shortly thereafter. Jesus couldn't believe it. Could this actually be his father? One last question, said Jesus. Were you ever a carpenter? Why, yes, replied the old man. Yes, I was. Jesus rubbed his eyes and said, Dad. The old man rubbed his eyes and said, Pinocchio. So there you go. This morning I want to share some of the thoughts that I've been sharing over at the South Hill Unity Church on Bernard Avenue. We're doing a workshop over there. And I'd like to share with you, it's based on a book that is entitled The Mindful Body by Dr. Ellen Langer. The book suggests that simply by noticing something you may have never noticed before, you can trigger a healing dynamic in yourself that can alter whatever is going on in your mind and body. Here is an excerpt from the book. Dr. Langer writes, my mother's experience with cancer convinced me that our current approach to health may make us sicker. Thinking about the root causes of her illness turned out to be an inflection point for my scientific career and profoundly shaped the mindfulness research I conducted over decades that followed. She says the word mindfulness has become ubiquitous since my early work in the 1970s. It's hard to open a newspaper or a magazine or even listen to an interview these days without the word mindful being used. Most of this use of this word presents mindfulness as a condition solely of the mind and mostly related to meditation. We've all heard of mindfulness meditation. But Dr. Langer says mindfulness, as my students and I have shown, and by the way, she's a professor at Harvard University, mindfulness, according to what we've learned, is simply a process of actively noticing things with no meditation actually required. When you are mindful, you notice things you didn't notice before, and you come to see that you didn't know the things you thought you knew as well as you thought you knew them. Everything becomes potentially interesting at that stage and useful to you in a new and beneficial way. So I want to take a moment here right now and have you look around this room that you've been in, many of you a lot of times, as I have, and see if there's something you notice that you've never noticed in this room before. Something that you are noticing today for the very first time. It can be something in the room on the walls or ceilings. It could be a person in this room that you have never noticed before. There is something or someone that you have never noticed before. How many of you found something that you'd never noticed before in this room? Fantastic. Anyone willing to share what they noticed? Yes. The white curtains. How long have those white curtains been up, Wendy? A week? Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. All right. What else? Somebody else notice something? Yes, Nikki.
The box on the wall. First aid or fire?
Oh, that box on the wall over by the exit door there? Yeah. Very interesting, that box, yes. Anyone else? The macrame's. Ah, fantastic. Well, a couple of years ago, I gave a talk here at this ministry that was based on a book called E Squared. Do you remember me talking about E Squared by Pam Grout? That was a book, a New York Times best-selling book. And if you haven't read that book yet, get it and read it. It is awesome. When I was talking to you about this book before, the book contains a series of, I guess we could call them experiments. And the purpose of the experiments is to prove to us once and for all that there is an invisible energy field that is all around us that most of us hardly ever notice. We are so busy trudging our way through life, preoccupied with our own human self, our own human issues, living in our physical world, living, as my dad used to say, with our noses to the grindstone. And it would seem that most of us are still operating in what Pam Grout calls the mental architecture of our ancestors. That's all we know and that's all we see. You may think that we are running out our lives based on this information. We may think that we are living our lives based on brilliant ideas and thoughts, but in reality, all we are doing is sawing sawdust. We are recycling old tapes, relying on knee-jerk conditioning and automatic behaviors, and most of which we picked up before we reached the age of 5 years old. So whether you know it or not, or are willing to admit it or not, we are like Pavlov's dogs, simply reacting to patterns we picked up before we had the intelligence to wisely choose. And so we don't really notice what's really going on, and more importantly, what's available to us. So here's an example. You may remember this. I talked about it. Do you remember we talked about what was called the Volkswagen Jetta experiment? Well, in the book, Pam Grout gives you 3 days to notice all the Volkswagen Jettas you can see on the road. And whenever you see one, you say, there's a Volkswagen Jetta. And you can be driving or walking or whatever it may be. Now, I need to admit to you that I'm not a fan of Volkswagen Jettas. Anybody have a Volkswagen Jetta here? Good. So I chose a different car. I chose a Jeep. And I know that Chris had a Jeep at that particular time. Do you still have that Jeep? Oh, you do. Great. So I chose to look for Jeeps, and Donna too. And the moment we began looking for Jeeps, Jeeps started appearing all over Spokane. Everywhere we went, we saw hundreds and hundreds of Jeeps. In fact, I saw so many, I reached a point where I didn't notice them anymore. And so Donna said, well, if you're going to notice cars, why don't we move up in class a little bit and something a little classier than Jeeps? So we started, she said, let's notice Teslas. And I thought, well, Teslas are new on the market, and there's probably not very many of them out there, but I'll go along with it. We'll look for Teslas. It was slow at first, but pretty soon, here's a Tesla, there's a Tesla, everywhere is a Tesla. And there were oodles of Teslas showing up because we made the choice to notice them. There's the Tesla. Thank you. Somebody's changed the slides for me, helping me out here. Dr. Langer goes on to tell us that noticing things may be the answer to many of our health issues and our problems on the planet. When you chose to notice something in this room, you are never going to forget what you noticed. And whether you know it or not, you have just exercised what Dr. Langer calls mindfulness. And this is what she says. Rather than being a meditation practice, it simply is the ability to notice things we never noticed before. And she suggests that this practice can lead to what she calls chronic health. The dictionary defines chronic as a persisting condition for a long time, constantly recurring, and difficult to eradicate. Now, most of us have associated the word chronic with a disease or an illness of some kind that goes on, and we all know if it's not us, it's somebody we know who is chronically ill. But what if, as Dr. Langer suggests, associates this word with health and well-being? She talks about chronic health and well-being. What then? Well, in the book that I have just written, and pretty soon I won't have to bore you anymore by talking about my book. It'll be here. It's getting closer. It's out on the 1st of October. But they've sent us now what are called the galleys for the book. And the galleys are sending us the book without the book. They send us a PDF file with every page in the book and all the artwork and everything else. And it's pretty amazing. I'm excited about this. And they send us that, and they say, you got one last chance to notice anything in the book that you want to change, or any corrections, or any details that you want to tweak a little bit. This is your last chance before we go to press. And so Donna and I are busy doing that. Now, in the book, of course, I outline the healing process that I went through, and many of you know what I'm talking about. I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic melanoma. Initially, all I could notice after that diagnosis were the words of my oncologist, who said that I had perhaps 3 months to live. And that got my attention. That got all my attention. I noticed that and was riveted to that proclamation. These words were burned into my thinking and stood front and center in my brain as I began to contemplate and prepare for the last days of my life on planet Earth. So I decided I had nothing to lose. What can I do with the 3 months that I had left? Why not write a book, I thought. That sounded like a plan. My last will and testament of a great life. That was 10 years ago when I decided to write a book. And the title of the book back then was, But Wait, There's More. But some of you know how I struggled with that book. I was here during that particular time. Nothing new, nothing fresh came to my mind. I couldn't get any new ideas out of it. All I could think about was planning my memorial service. So I found myself continuously dwelling on the ominous death knell that had been sounding in and around me. I was consumed with that and that alone. My condition was chronic and fatal, and that was that. It was Tricia Sullivan who said, "What we are witnessing in our lives and on the world stage is a classic technique used in magic called misdirection, which is the deceptive art of directing our attention towards one thing so it does not notice another. So when people focus on an illusion, something altogether different and potentially more beneficial, something more beneficial goes unnoticed. So instead of becoming open and curious to new possibilities and potentials in my life, I found myself shrinking, closing in, and giving all my attention to the smallest appearance that was in front of me. And so I forgot about my writing of the book. Nothing was inspiring, nothing was worthwhile. What's the use? And I put it aside. So one Sunday in 2015, I believe it was, I stood in front of the congregation at the South Hill Unity Church and announced to them that I had been diagnosed with a fatal disease and that I would be stepping down as their minister. I remember on that Sunday, after the service was over, Donna and I didn't stand at the door and greet people. We snuck out the back door. We just left. And when we got home, I just kind of curled up in a little ball in my chair, holding my sides and feeling hopeless and out of options. That's what happens when all you notice is what your doctor told you and what you feel going on inside your body. Donna came into the room and saw me cringing in my chair in the living room and said, "Come on, David, this is Sunday afternoon. You know what you do on Sunday afternoons. You watch Seattle Seahawks football. That's what you do on Sunday afternoon. You always watch them when you come home from church. So turn on the game." So I said, "Okay, I'll watch." And by the time I turned on the tube to watch the game, it was already in the third quarter, and the Seahawks were losing 24-14. And I thought, oh, great, everybody's losing today. We're all a bunch of losers around this house. And so by the time the fourth quarter started and the Seahawks had the ball, I found myself noticing something that I had not paid attention to before. It wasn't any of the 11 players on the Seahawks team. It wasn't something I saw on the screen at all. It was something I heard. It was the crowd. The crowd at the Seahawks game got louder and louder and louder. And pretty soon, you couldn't even hear the announcer, only the sound and the roar of the crowd. The commentator finally came on and said, "Listen to the 12s. The 12s are the fans of the Seattle Seahawks. They are the 12th man. The Seahawks have 11 players on the field, and their 12th man, their 12th player, is the spectators in the stands." So the announcer said that according to a meter that measures noise, the Seahawks had the loudest decibel rating of any team in the National Football League. The 12th player was their combined cheering. Well, the Seahawks went on to win that game, come from behind, and they won the game 24-14. 28-24. That's the game. So there they are. You can see the players, but I didn't see the players. I didn't even see the background to that. All I heard was this deafening roar coming out of my television set. And so the next morning, I decided to compile my own 12th man cheering team. A cheering squad that from that moment forward would cheer me on. I felt that if the Seahawks could get a cheering section and could come back and win a game, maybe I could win a game too. So my 12s consisted of those who could pray, think positive thoughts, support me as I went through my surgery, my radiation, and my planned chemotherapy, all of which I was told was simply a Hail Mary attempt to save my life. So my 12 started with my wife. She was my cheering section, and then I got all the doctors who were on my case and all the medical staff, and Donna got all her chaplains at Sacred Heart Hospital to be on my cheering team. And then I got Silent Unity and Unity Village, every Unity minister that I could think of. I got you all here to be on my cheering team, as well as the folks on the South Hill. And almost immediately after I set out the word that I needed their support and their cheers, I noticed something happening in my body and in my life. I noticed a shift. I felt that my attitude changed, and inside my body, things were changing too. And the rest is history. As I look back on the book that I was finally able to write after I got through that experience, I discovered that my whole life has been mindful. My whole life has been a series of noticing stuff that I hadn't seen or paid attention to before, that it was all connected. For example, some of the things I write about in the book is, even though I was surrounded by trees, and I lived in Spokane and forests and everything else, I had never hugged a tree. How many of you have ever hugged a tree? Good. If you haven't, get out there and hug a tree. Donna and I decided we'd hug a tree, so we went to Muir Woods in California, where I used to live, and we hugged a redwood, the biggest redwood in the forest. We hugged that. Another thing that I was guided to do was to forgive everyone in my life that I feel I might have hurt or done something wrong to, or had done something wrong to me, to make amends, as it were. So I made a list, and I wrote to these people, or I talked to these people. I even made amends with my wife, and she decided to keep me after that experience. I let go of things that I've been holding on, and asked others to let go of whatever they've been holding on. Another interesting thing, my nephew, Andy, lives up in Canada. He travels all over the country doing it's his ministry, and it's a thing called shaking. It's not shakers as we know, but it's people who really shake. And it's a kind of a spiritual ritual thing that he does in various places. And he happened to be down in Philadelphia doing a shaking thing down there. And he heard about what was going on with me, and so he pulled out a piece of multicolored cloth. It was like a cloak of many colors, you might call it. And he had everyone in the Shakers group, and there were about 30 people, touch this and bless it and send their blessings to me. And then he sent me the cloak, and I got to wear it around the house. And then when Donna was not feeling her best, she wore that cloak of many colors too. The next thing that I did, which was rather strange, that came out of this, was I was starting to take my radiation and then on to my other medical means. And I decided to give names to my medical equipment. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but here is the radiation room where I had my radiation for my treatment. And it's a radiation machine, but I didn't call it radiation, I called it radiance. And from that moment on, that machine and I got along just fine. It's amazing, if you just name it differently, how it becomes different for you. And in order to get into this machine, I had to wear a mask. Any of you who've had radiation, you know. And this is a mask that I wore while I was in radiation. And I had to give this thing a name too. And to me, it represented a hockey mask. I'm from Canada, where they play hockey. And so this was what I thought was a mask, a hockey mask. And when I lived in Toronto, right down the street was a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the goalie, and his name was Turk Broda. So I called my mask Turk instead of this horrible, claustrophobic, awful thing that I had to put on my face. I noticed it in a different way. So those are some of the things. The next thing that happened was that I got a call from a good friend of mine in Hawaii, a man his business was cleaning swimming pools. And he said, I hear you have stage 4 metastatic melanoma. And he said, I have one of my clients who I clean his pool. He has the same diagnosis as you, but he has found out that they're trying out a new medication, an immunotherapy drug called Keytruda that Merck is experimenting with down in Atlanta, and he's been going down to, he flies from Atlanta from Honolulu to Atlanta every 3 weeks for a treatment of this stuff. And he says his cancer is all gone. And the guy, my friend, said, you need to get yourself into that trial as well. So I made arrangements to fly from Spokane to Atlanta every 3 weeks for a treatment. But before I got to do that, I happened to come into the office at Unity South Hill one morning, and I noticed a newspaper on my desk, and Jackie Green, as some of you know, came in and she said, have you read the morning news? And I said, no, and she said, here it is. Breakthrough drug approved by the FDA. And that drug was Keytruda, which meant I didn't have to go to Atlanta. It was available in my backyard, basically. And so I started this treatment with Keytruda. It was not chemotherapy, it was immunotherapy. And that got my attention. So my whole book is really about noticing things that I didn't notice before. Things that I had forgotten or ignored, or things that I'd never even conceived were possible for me. Things that were beneficial to my healing. Things that existed beyond my diagnosis. And that's why I'm here this morning, is to tell you that mindfulness is contagious. There are people here this morning that will hopefully be influenced by this story. Hopefully my book will get noticed, not because I want to become rich and famous and be on Oprah, but because I believe chronic health is contagious and open to every one of us that's in this room. That's why I'm here this morning. A man walks into a bar, and the only person in there is the bartender, who is on the phone, and he waves that he will be with the man shortly, as soon as he can. And the guy nods and waits patiently. Suddenly he hears a small voice that says, "Nice shirt you're wearing today." And he looks around, but he can't see anyone other than the bartender, who's still on the phone. So he shrugs, thinking he's just imagining things, when he hears a similar voice saying again, "Smart haircut you got, handsome." And again he looks around nervously, but there's nothing or no one near him who could possibly have spoken to him. But then he hears another voice, soft and small like the first two, and it says, "You're really looking sharp today. Have you lost weight?" And at that point, the guy is completely bewildered, and he realizes that the voices seem to be coming from a bowl of nuts sitting on the bar counter. And so at that moment, the bartender finishes his phone and call and comes over to see what the guy wants. And the guy says, "What's the deal with these nuts?" And the bartender says, "Well, they're complimentary." What I'm here to tell you this morning is that chronic health is complementary. All you have to do is notice things beyond your noticing. Notice things and leave the rest to the universe to sort out for you. You know, the Course in Miracles tells us that a miracle is a shift in perception, a shift in what you notice is a miracle. That means it's more an aha than it is a ta-da. So instead of waiting for a ta-da, start with an aha. Start with a different way of looking at things in and around yourself. See things right rather than trying to set things right. Now, you know, the Bible, if you read much of the Bible, it uses three words a lot: hark, lo, elo, and behold. And it uses those words over and over again, encouraging us to what? Notice certain things that it's about to say to us and what's going on in the lives of those characters in the Bible. Bible writers knew the value of changing your point of view and moving your attention to something new. They knew that what gets your attention gets you. And so if you want to continue on the road to chronic health, start paying attention and noticing things you've never, ever noticed before. Be mindful of the possibilities that await you. You know, it's been said that a butterfly cannot see its wings, and yet he knows they're there, and he flies away. Rumi says it this way: you and I were born with wings, so why crawl through life when you can fly? God bless you.
Nice. Well, I'm going to invite you all to stand and sing this song with us. Spirit Calls. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Sets us free. From all lack or limitation, sets us free to realize who we can be. We are made in the image and the likeness of God. Spirit calls, so stand up and believe. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Come up high, love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, come up higher. Spirit calls, sing I believe. Spirit calls, Spirit calls, Spirit calls. Love lifts us high and sets us free. Spirit calls, Spirit calls. Spirit calls, love lifts us high and sets us free, lifts us high and sets us free, lifts us high and sets us free.
David, thank you so much. I did not know your story. I didn't know anything about that, so it's very exciting for me to hear it for the very first time. I have great belief in everything that you were talking about, and I'm very excited for your book to come out. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and, you know, just reaffirming what we're capable of. Thank you so much. All right, my beautiful people, we have some announcements. Let's find out what they are. Our first announcement is we are looking for volunteers still, if you'd like to help out in the Unity in the Community. That is coming up this Saturday. You can use the QR code. You can go to our website. You can email Danielle directly if you still have any interest, if anybody has interest in participating in that. It's a short day. It's a 10 to 3 total. You don't have to be there all day. You can be there an hour. You can be there 2 hours. You can be there all day if you want. We don't mind. But if you want to come and participate and even just wander through the Unity and Community that day and see what else is happening and then come back and tell us about it, we'd appreciate that. All right. Our Meditation Tuesday has moved to Wednesdays, and it is the same time, 6 o'clock to 7, and it's a wonderful time for self-care. We do dive into the silence, but we're doing all kinds of other things. We've been playing with sound. We've been playing with mantras. We're going to be diving into chakras and sound and energy work. We're going to have some drum sessions. We've got all kinds of things coming, so please come join us. All right, Gracie's having a birthday. And next Sunday at 3 o'clock, you are all invited to her birthday party. So please show up. And Jeff, would you join me?
I think it's not.
It's on the
next-
25th.
Yeah,
What's next
25th,
week?
Not next Sunday.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
2 weeks.
I tell you, I am so out of sorts. I really believed it was next week. All right, thank God you guys are on it. All right. So we do still have Sunday morning meditation. It's 10:15 in the kids' room. Come join us for just a pre-service. Get prayed and meditated up. And just before our Unity in Community, the South Hill is going to be having what they call a Hot August Nights, and you are all invited. It is at the South Hill community. They're having games and food and music, and you are all welcome to be there. And then lastly, I think, all right, as you know, we have extended an offer to Jeff as our new spiritual advisor, and he has accepted. We will be having a celebration for him, so stay tuned for that. And Jeff, do you want to say a few words about that?
Well,
Now that you're here?
yeah. We were at South Hill and saying my goodbyes. And it's really not goodbye because I really feel like our opportunity here is expanding the movement. I've shared with you guys what we see, and it's expanding and coming together and growing. And it's not a matter of either or, it's a matter of both. And so I'm very excited about that. And yeah, they were bribing us to come back or whatever. And it's like, no, we have our plans. But anyways, with all that said, and I just want to put a pitch in about Unity Community to go back to that. Those are the kinds of things that get us out into the community. And it's not a matter of, this is not a volunteer opportunity. This is an event. This is an opportunity for us to connect in the community. If you don't want to come and work the booth, which does nothing more than just making connections and having conversations with people, that's what we're looking to do, is just build community, right? But the other opportunity for us is there's hundreds of other organizations in the community. This is an opportunity to find out who they are and find out, is there an opportunity for us to serve there or have an opportunity for them to work in conjunction with us? Because our opportunity here as a whole is being much more than just a spiritual center, being much more than just what we do on Sunday, but being something bigger than that. And ironically, I had a conversation with someone yesterday or day before about this very thing. And when I told them, their mouth kind of dropped because they're like, I don't understand how you're going to do this. And then there was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I do see this. I see it now. So anyways, with all that said, this is an opportunity to come and be in the community and serve and get to know people and make connection and find out what else is out there. You may find there's an organization that really lights your fire and that you want to be a part of, and then you are a member of our movement that is participating in that and sharing what we have to offer and what we're about. So anyways, I'm not going to go off that. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. And we both shared when our parting message, I guess, was that we grew up. I was introduced to Unity there at South Hill. And that was the hook, and it's been 5 years now, coming to this place to where I feel called to actually be in ministry. And anyways, I'm very thankful, very grateful, and we're looking forward.
We're very excited. And Julie, we're very excited that you are a part of this as well. Thank you so much. That's right. David is, yeah, so a hand to you, David. He couldn't have gotten better than that. Dang.
I'll never forget I gave a talk and I came down and David looked at me and he looked at me like this and he says, if there was ever a time that proved you're a minister, it was that talk. He basically called me out at that time.
Yay. Oh, I'm so glad for that. Because we're going to reap the benefits of that. We appreciate that. All right, at this time, I invite you to determine what your love offering. Sharing your gifts with intention creates an energetic flow through mind and heart, creating more abundance for both the recipient and the giver. As we pass the offering bags, I invite you to hold your intentions in your mind. And of course, you can give here, or you can give on the website, or you can mail it in.
Good thing I wasn't going to sit down.
Ah, that is so beautiful. That Lawrence Van Ruin, man, what a talented, talented musician. I'd like to invite you to bless our offering together, please. Divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. And I would like to remind you that if you have prayer intentions, to please place them in the prayer box, and we, along with Silent Unity, will pray over them for the next 30 days. And it'll be right back here on the table, okay? And let us welcome in our children.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
All right, Kendra, what do we do today?
Yeah, so I'm trying to hold too much. Will you? I found another puzzle at Hallmark. I've decided Hallmark is a really cool place to find little Bible story activities. So this is a puzzle we did as a team about Jonah and the whale. So if you guys want to come in and look at it later. That's all right. So we read the story of Jonah and the whale and talked about how God is everywhere. And so God sees all the things we do. And that's okay, yes. And that God is forgiving when we make mistakes. So we talked about what that story means, and we learned that God, that we can pray to God wherever we are, whether we're inside a whale or somewhere else out in nature, anywhere, and God will hear us.
right, children. Together. God loves you and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. I behold the Christ you are. All right, children, will you bless us back, please? God loves you and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. I behold the Christ you are. Oh, beautiful. Are any of you having a birthday? It's for August. You have a birthday. Fantastic. Is anybody else here having a birthday? Wendy's having a birthday. And I'd like to give a moment to Susan because she has a very important birthday.
My mother, Connie Hayden, would have been 100 today. And also,
Get closer to the.
100th anniversary in July. Anyway, she passed away 2 weeks ago, 5 years ago, on a Sunday, which I came, July 28th, 2019. She read this little book from about 1952 until the time she passed.
Give her a hand. All right, we're going to sing the birthday song. There will be cake today, so stay for that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Happy birthday to you. All right, if we could all join in a circle for our peace song, after which we will pray our prayer of protection, and then stay for coffee and all kinds of things.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
All right, our prayer for
protection.
protection.
Are you doing it over there? That's fine.
Okay, all right. Prayer for protection. The love
Light
of
of
God. Where's our prayer for protection? I do not know this by heart. Who knows this by heart?
The light of God surrounds us.
David.
Light of God. God surrounds
Am I on? No, I'm not on.
God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
The truth. Gonna build a mountain from a little